G'day ladies and gents, welcome to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome aboard the Ki-84 Co. Now the Ki-84 Co is a battle rank 4.3 fighter for the Imperial Navy of Japan. Two 20mm HO5 cannons with 300 rounds of ammunition, and two 12.7mm HO103 MGs with 700 rounds of ammunition. So it's got a good armament, but it's a little light on the ammo. It's very fast for its battle rating, able to attain about 500 km an hour in level flight at about 10,000 feet. It's got a good climb rate and excellent maneuverability, like all Japanese fighters. It does have an interesting problem with its matchmaker, however, but I'll come to that at the end of the battle. Now, I flew about 20 battles in a row in this plane, trying to get some good footage, because I really do enjoy this aircraft. However, this was the only match that was worth showing. The matchmaker in this aircraft, it gets a pretty serious issue, which I'll come to in a second, but it's not involving its own BR. First things first, we've taken off. We actually air spawned in on this map. We've been climbing rather hard, punching 20,000 feet. First target has been spotted, P-63 Air Cobra at altitude. Beginning to move in on target. I have a Ki-61 up here as backup. It's already being engaged by the P-63. It's having some slight issues, so I'm moving to assist. 4.3 out, and second target has just popped up, P-47. Third target has just lit up as well. And our third target is an F4U D model. So it's a 3-on-2 battle here at altitude, but thankfully the KO is able to handle this. Just stuck underneath the first targets, break through the formation. They cannot maneuver at this altitude as well as I can, so I'm not worried about them yet. Moving on the P-63A5, it's probably the most dangerous aircraft at this altitude. Just couldn't quite get the guns on target. I try not to squeeze off shots unless I have to. Get a good clip in then as he passes back over my guns. Just scissoring back and forth for shots here. The P-63 gets a turn in, so I invert, roll over. Fall back onto its tail. Second hit in. Nothing critical yet, just letting him know I'm here. Go into a spiral, and now we're diving out of altitude. Just keep ducking under my guns. I'm starting to approach 700 km an hour, so I break out to level. I don't want to exceed the dive speed in this aircraft. About 760 km an hour, you'll start getting ready to break the wings in this plane. Climb back for altitude with the P-63 going low in. Take the chance to regain energy over the top of him and see what these other fighters coming in are doing. He climbs back up, so begin to re-engage. Roll over again. And fireballed. Target is out. Move back to maintain level, get my airspeed back up. And begin hunting these other targets. P-47's ahead of me over here. It's being engaged by two. Just trying to work out where to put my plane next. Now, it's probably worth mentioning at this point, this plane is very close to stock. I'm still using default ammunition loadouts. I have maybe the airframe and the compressor unlocked at this time. This was one of my very early battles in the day, and there's my first kill. Now, I was looking at diving in on the P-47 below me, but it's being engaged by two Ki-61s. My firepower really isn't needed there. However, this F4U over this end of the map is starting to get the better hand on my ally, so I'm going to move over and give him some assistance. F4U passes overhead. He tries to dive in. I go into a loop. We exchange altitude. Roll it tight. Now at this point, this battle has taken place completely above 10,000 feet, which is really odd. Battles don't normally happen this high. F4U realises it's in trouble and dives to the deck. We finally break below 10,000 feet for the first time in the match, and he's moving for cover with allies. I move to pursue. There's the overspeed warning at 750 kilometers an hour. Pull the WEP off and gently start raising the nose, so I start bleeding speed. Not too hard, I don't want to break the wings. Use the speed to close rapidly on the F4U. Unfortunately, I close a little too rapidly. Brake high, roll over onto its tail. Good solid hits. Stay at altitude, make a turn. Track the F4U to see if it's going down. It doesn't look like it is, so turn back over and dive back in. Important thing to do when you hit a target and you see that it's starting to go down, don't give up altitude straight away. Stay at altitude, the altitude you're currently at, and just watch him. See whether or not he is going to hit the deck before you dive in, otherwise you're needlessly surrendering your energy. Using the dive speed to close in. Now we're losing rather badly at ground forces here. F4U overcooks a turn, however. I put some shots in just in case, but he goes in, my kill. Now, it likely wasn't the damage that I applied to that Corsair that actually caused that crash. He likely simply overcooked the turn for the amount of damage that had been applied, and overestimated the plane's ability to pull out of the dive and smacked it into the water. Now, we're losing badly to ground forces, however the enemy team only has 2 aircraft remaining, this P-63 and an AI, which I haven't located yet. For some reason the P-63 was trying to land on the runway. We're losing tickets badly at the top of the screen. I normally don't like strafing aircraft out on a runway, but I don't really have a choice at this time. I need to kill this guy and get that last AI if we're going to win. So clean strafe, executed. Turning back to find the AI. I'm down to 71 rounds of cannon, however. Enemy F4F targeted. He's in pursuit of our last remaining allied fighter. Closing in fast, we've just lost another massive hit on tickets. This guy needs to die. Miss the shot. Roll over. The AI will be predictable. It'll follow that allied fighter until the end of the match. He breaks low, makes the AI overshoot. Move to execute. There goes the last of my cannon ammunition. Now I'm on NG. Get the shots in, critical damage, and he's going down, but unfortunately I wasn't fast enough. The match loses to ground forces right as the final AI slams into the ground. So results for the match. First place for the team with 3 kills. The AI kill did not register as it happened after the match timer ended. Final blow, Terror of the Sky and Bulletproof awards. 49,995 silver lions. 2,342 base RP, and that was enough to complete the airframe. Of course, once again, no modifiers applied to RP gain as my Japanese tree is complete, so there's no research modifiers to be had. And in 20 matches, this was the only match that was worth showing. It was the only match that had a series of aircraft that were close to being comparable to the Ki-84. This plane has a massive matchmaking issue, but it's not because of its own tiering. Its own tiering is probably pretty good, but because of the tiering of the aircraft that it faces, specifically the Americans, which is its, out of 20 matches, 19 matches were against the US forces. Now, I have no problem fighting the US forces, that's exactly what Japan should be fighting, but the nature and the state of their current tree is causing this plane a very, very, very serious issue. So let's go take a look at that now. Now, the first thing we need to look at is the Ki-84 Co and the Japanese tree. So, battle rating 4.3, that's the aircraft that we're comparing here. So, 4.3 battle rating, let's go have a look at the American tree. So here we are, the US tree. Now, as I said in my 1.41 matchmaking video, there's been a lot of down tiering that's been happening here across the board for US aircraft. So let's have a look and see where we can see where the problem is for the Ki-84. We'll start with the best fighter that we faced in the last match. So we'll start with the P-63, battle rating 4. Now it is probably slightly under tiered, but it would still be about 4.3 at correct tiering. So that's perfectly fine. That's what we should be facing. What's the previous aircraft? Well, that's the P-47 at 3.7. 0.3 battle rating down, yet not too bad. Next one up, battle rating 5 with the P-51s. That's a 1 battle rating gap between the P-63 and the P-51. So let's have a look at the US naval line. So we've got the F4U-1D. That's an aircraft we should be fighting. Battle rating 3.3. Now that is a full 1.0 below the Ki-84. That's a big drop down for a fighter that should be comparable. Then we jump up to the 1C, and that's battle rating 5. That's a 1.7 battle rating difference between these two planes. Then we go down to 3.3, again below, maintaining rank for the 1As and the 1D being the same, and we jump up to the F8F1 at 5.7. This is the problem for the matchmaker trying to create battles for the Ki-84 Co. The only battle rank 4 aircraft that US Tree has is the P-63s, the PBJs, and the B-25s. That is it. Now, the aircraft that have been down-tiered would have comparable performance and would perform rather well against the Co, but because they have been down-tiered, they are mixed in amongst things like the P-40. The matchmaking for the Ki-84 comes in 2 flavours. Now, excluding 2 battles, the battle I just showed you and one where I took on the Russians, the other remaining 18 battles were against the US forces, and they fit this particular sequence every single time. You either got down-tiered against this block, in which case you might have a 1D Corsair, you might have a P-47 or a P-63 in the mix, but for the most part the enemy team will consist of things like the P-40s and P-39s, F-4Fs, P-38Gs, a mix of these that dilute those aircraft that have been down-tiered. And as a result, flying this match is like kicking puppies. You rip the enemy team in half, and there is near nothing they can do to stop you. The alternative is you get a tier up, and you go to these aircraft. You start facing P-51s, premium P-51s, premium Fires, and F-8F1s. This makes the matchmaking very easy to understand. I have a 50% win ratio in the Ki-84 after 20 battles. Why do I have exactly a 50% win ratio? Because excluding 2 battles, I was either kicking puppies or getting kicked. That's all the matchmaker could make, because the enemy team, the US forces which the Japanese primarily face, simply have nothing in battle rating 4 that it can put it against. So you either are going to be down-tiered into the lower level aircraft, or you're going to be up-tiered into aircraft far more powerful than you are able to handle. This is the problem with the Ki-84's matchmaking, and the problem with any aircraft ranked about battle rating 4.3 that fights US forces. This is a situation you're going to run into. You're either fighting up or you're fighting down. You're never fighting in the middle, which means actually getting a match with comparable aircraft that becomes a good battle is extremely hard. I had battles where I scored huge amount of wins down here that I just deleted because watching me kick puppies was not entertaining to watch. Watching me get my ass handed to me by planes from up here, not particularly entertaining either. Those really good battles have to be against comparable aircraft, and the US Tree at the moment has created a situation where the only comparable aircraft around battle rating 4 are being diluted by aircraft from a much lower battle rating that should not be in the battle to begin with. 1 battle in 20, and I managed to get a team that consisted of the P-63, the P-47, and the F4U-1D, 3 aircraft that I should be fighting. The rest of the time, the matchmaker could not put that combination together because there was simply not enough people playing those planes in order to create that battle. So, that's the Ki-84 Co situation. What do I think of the plane itself? Well, I really like it. You can definitely feel the progression onwards from the Ki-61s onto the more powerful Ki-84s. They handle well. They've got a good armament, although they are a little anemic on the ammunition side. They're fast, they're maneuverable, they're very, very, very good aircraft. I just wish it would be possible for the matchmaking to actually get some battles for this thing to fight, that, you know, get those real knife-edge fights with equivalent aircraft, rather than this current situation it finds itself in, where it's either, as I said before, kicking puppies or getting kicked. It's really a disappointment. It's a waste of an incredibly good aircraft on the Japanese side. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this video. Click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more. Fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.